Traveler, hurry, have a seat. I've heard something, if you have time to listen.
There comes a moment in every quiet life when safety begins to feel like a question. When love is not enough to still curiosity, and the world beyond the fields starts whispering your name. "It is odd, Father," Kaighleigh said, looking around as the trees swayed gently. The wind kept moving, like it carried secrets. "What is odd, my little love?" Kaighleigh's thoughts spiraled. The shape of it all, the ogres, the war men, the way Wulfgar had been stretched thin, felt like dots she could almost connect. Almost. It frustrated her, that near understanding, like reaching towards something just behind a thin veil. "This is my whole life," she said softly. "But there is a whole world out there that I do not understand, that I am protected from, to understand." She shrugged, trying to make it smaller than it felt. "And I wonder why sometimes." She gave him a smile, almost playful, to hide the weight. "Best not to question, right, Father? We are happy here. That is enough for me." But her father's face softened into sadness, a sadness that pinched at her heart, because she knew what it meant. He wanted more for her, a husband, a family, a future filled with children's laughter in the yard, a strong young man to help him when his hands finally failed, someone to love his daughter the way he loved his wife. But life did not always give what good hearts deserved. "Well," he said at last, "you know little about the place you were born, but I know a little myself." Kaighleigh turned her head, eyes narrowing with sudden interest. He had never spoken like this before. "The elven are tall and strong," he said matter-of-factly. Kaighleigh smiled, bright and toothy. Somehow even serious topics became softer when he spoke them. "Like you, Father?" she teased. He laughed long and hearty, leaning back as the sound rolled out of him. Crow's feet deepened at the corners of his eyes. He held his stomach as if laughter itself were a labor. Kaighleigh giggled and kept eating, watching him like she was trying to memorize the moment. "No, dear heavens, child," he said, catching his breath. "I am broad as an ox and strong as any bareback beastie that plows our fields. But they are stronger than I. And strange." His gaze softened. "And they are beautiful. Like you." Kaighleigh blushed hard and shoved more meat into her mouth to hide it. Her cheeks puffed slightly, her head bowed, but curiosity made her peek up again. "My love for you shines brighter than any of those of elven kind could have for my wee, blithe daughter," he said, voice firm with certainty. "You are bias," she mumbled through her mouthful, half amused, half embarrassed. He wagged a large, calloused finger at her. "Yes, I may be, but you are a beautiful child." His expression sobered. "And you have a youth about you that is truly elven." Kaighleigh's breath caught. She saw his age then, truly saw it. Not just the grey, but the way time sat quietly in him. The way his strength had edges now where it once had been endless. He had been 40 when she was placed on his stoop. Now he was over 60. The thought tightened in her chest like a fist. "Someday I will be gone, little love," he said gently. She wanted to stop him, to deny it, to refuse the words. But he continued, and she respected him enough to let him speak. "Elven kind live long lives," he said, "much longer than the life of a fragile human." He smiled, sad but warm. "There is a place, an elven Eden, the home you were likely born in, deep in a faraway wood. They say it is beautiful beyond human imagination." Kaighleigh listened like a starving thing. "Terminag," he said thoughtfully, "or something like it. Stories change, bards change names, tongues shift." He shrugged faintly. "But I've heard it spoken. By travelers, by those bothersome suitors of yours." His smile flickered. "They told me you are more beautiful than any elven woman they had ever heard of." Kaighleigh's blush returned, warmer than the sun. "Elven are skilled," he continued. "Craftsmen, healers, fighters, ancient magic. His voice softened. "I have wanted to tell you for a long time, but you always seemed too young." He looked at her, eyes kind but heavy. "Even now you seem too young. But compared to your kind, you're only a child." She wrinkled her nose at the word, and he chuckled. "I know," he said. "Child is not what you wish to hear. But when a 3,000-year-old elven looks upon you, that is what you are to them." Kaighleigh stared, mind stunned by the number. 3,000. How could anyone live that long? Wulfgar, perhaps. But people. Her father clapped his hands together sharply, jolting her back into the present. "It is time to go," he announced. "Let us take these ploughing beasties home and have a peaceful night." Kaighleigh nodded absently. Her mind was afire, and she could feel it. Wulfgar listening closely now, pressed to the edge of her awareness, hearing through her ears what her father was saying. They stood. She helped gather the remnants of their meal. Her father slung the bag and flask over his shoulder and motioned for her to follow. At the field's end, they worked in reasonable silence to untether the horses. The knots were difficult, but Kaighleigh had practiced them since she was small. Leather bit into her fingers as she pulled and pushed, feet dug into earth for leverage. The knots came free cleanly. She held the rein and watched her father brush down the horse's neck, preparing it for the ride. They would go bareback, quicker, easier. Kaighleigh mimicked him, brushing the beast she would ride. When she finished, her father stepped close, clasped her shoulder, and gave a nod of approval. Then he mounted his horse with a hefty pull, using the plough to gain height. Kaighleigh waited until he guided his horse a few steps away. When his back was turned, she grabbed a fistful of mane and clicked her tongue. The horse began to trot. On its second step, she lunged forward with it. On the third, she swung herself up with clean precision and landed easily on its back. The beast snorted at the sudden weight, but accepted it. She settled in by the fourth and fifth step, straight-backed, steady, smiling, as she urged it into a trot after her father. The warmth of the animal beneath her was divine. Dusty hide, living muscle, breath and motion. Wind rushed through her hair. Her hands tightened on the leather straps. Her legs curled close around the horse's sides. She felt alive. Her father rode ahead, strong back straight, controlled as if he were carved from the same earth he ploughed. Kaighleigh's heart swelled with happiness, and something sharper beneath it. An ache of wanting to know more. About her people, about the world. Maybe someday they could go to town and find storytellers, bards, travelers, someone who knew the names that did not change. She smiled at the thought. They rode in silence, down wagon trails, homeward on already tired beasts. The fields rolled by in orderly lines. The forest watched from the edges. Her mind ran faster than the horse. "Things are changing," Wulfgar said into her thoughts. His voice was stern, distant, heavy with certainty. "But everything always does, little fleshling. It is the way of life. Your parents will grow old and die. Someday you will as well. But you will live sheltered and happy, just as I see to it." His presence tightened like a warning. No more fretting over things we cannot change. There is a vast, unkind world beyond your mountain, even beyond that little town. It is not a place where you should be. Kaighleigh stared ahead at the rows of farmland stretching toward their cottage. Not a world she should know. And yet, she could not stop wondering why it felt like it was already reaching for her. Next time. The stories meant to protect Kaighleigh begin to feel like walls. The past whispers names long buried, and the world beyond the mountain presses closer than it ever has before. Some truths do not stay hidden. They come looking.
Wasn't that interesting? Now don't forget to subscribe for more.
And ring the bell for your server.